deliverer. And he said, yeah, here's your package. And they said, no, you don't understand. 100 years ago, when our founder began this sect, he prophesied that there would be a great one who would come and deliver us around this time. And we have reason to believe it's you. And he said, no, I don't think so. They said, please come with us. And they usher him into the back of the temple, and they open up a great curtain, and there's a life-size portrait of him in the fez and the mustache and the gowns. And they said, see? He goes, I get it. Then they say, please, would you give us some words of wisdom? He says, all right. So they take him to this cushion, and he sits down, and they're all sitting there, oohing and eyeing. And he says, you know, life is like a river. And they go, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And he says, sometimes it's flowing rapidly, and sometimes it's kind of stagnant. But if you just hang in there, you get to the ocean. Pretty good stuff, huh? Right? And they're all oohing and eyeing, oohing and eyeing. He said, well, I got to go now. Well, the thing was, they played this trick on 3 FedEx drivers, and each one of them, when they got to sit on the cushion, had something very profound to say, which tells me that there's a guru in everybody. Dale Carnegie said, give them a reputation to live up to. Because you can draw forth somebody's wisdom, or you can draw forth their stupidity by focusing on either one. And what you're doing here this weekend, what you're doing with Peak Potentials, is you're practicing building habits and skills to draw forth that magnificence. That's all we're doing. We're drawing forth the magnificence that always lives, already lives. And I want to give you a brief exercise now to prove this. I'd like you to stand up one more time. I know you're all comfortable, but I'd like you to face one other person, and I'd like you to tell them, I am brilliant at. So say, I am brilliant at, and fill in something that you are truly brilliant at. So go ahead, and then take turns. What are you brilliant at? So tell them something you're brilliant at. Go ahead, you all know something you're brilliant at. Give yourselves a big hand. Now here's the thing. Have a seat, be comfortable. Did it make you feel brilliant? You are. Every time you say something negative about yourself, you're lying. Those 2 words, I am, are the most creative words in the universe. In the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word. And when you say, I am, and you fill in the blank with any word, you activate your creative potential. So be careful what you fill in that blank with. When you say, I am sick, I am poor, I am lonely, I am afraid, I am lost, I am screwed, you create that. When you say, I am whole, I am magnificent, I am rich, I am powerful, I am lovable, you create that. Every single moment of the day, you are creating your life with the power of the Word. Be very careful about how you're using your words, because it's the power of Spirit that's working through you. Funny thing, a while back I was teaching at Omega Institute in New York, and I was walking across the lawn to go to breakfast one day, and a woman says, excuse me, do you know what time it is? And I didn't have a watch, and I took a guess. I said, well, I think it's about 9:15. And she said, oh no, I think it was 9:15 half an hour ago. And I thought, why'd you ask me then? Because there's something inside her. She was looking for confirmation. You see, when I was in graduate school, they told me that a consultant is someone who borrows your watch to tell you what time it is. You see, because you already know. I knew a guy who set himself up as a tarot reader, tarot cards, and he wasn't psychic, he didn't even know the cards, but he was smart. So people would come to him, and they would pull a page of cups or whatever. He'd say, what do you think that means? She says, oh, I think I should really confront my husband. He'd say, yes, that's what it is. And then someone would say, what do you think I should do about my job? And he'd say, what do you think you should do? They'd say, oh, I think I should wait a little while and then decide. He says, that's what I was getting too. And people would pay him big bucks to confirm what they already knew. I do a lot of coaching. I do executive coaching and personal coaching. And the secret to coach, how many do coaching here? Anybody? A lot of them, good. The secret to coaching is this. You find out what the person wants to do and you tell them to do it. Then you find out what they're not liking doing, you tell them to quit doing it. They will love you and pay you. And it's not illicit because all you're doing is you're finding out where their passion lives. And you're supporting them to live from passion rather than guilt, fear, and obligation, which is the way so many of us have lived our lives. And how's that been working for you? Not so good. So this woman knew what time it is, and you know what time it is in your life. You're here for a reason. You're not here by an accident. You hooked up with peak potentials. You hooked up with everything that's happening in your life now by what I call divine design, because you are ripe and ready to move ahead, and now is the moment. So I'm going to give you a little exercise, and I would like to have, we'll say 3 people come up who would like to do a little exercise in inner knowing. And I'd like you to think of, 1, 2, and 3, okay? Just run up here. Somebody will help you. And as you're coming up, okay, we'll take 4. As you're coming up, I'd like you to think about something in your life that you have a question about or you're not knowing about. And we'll get you a mic.
We didn't hear you.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Can we get this live? What's your name, Shelley? Give these people a hand for coming up, huh? Okay. Okay, so Shelley, take a moment and think about something that's going on in your life that you have a question about or you're not sure about, that you don't really know about. What would that be?
How about my ultimate destiny?
That's a good one. We'll start with something easy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now, if you did know, what would you say?
To help people change their lives.
So you know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, give her a hand. Okay, come. Okay, Brenda, don't try to plan this because it's just spontaneous. Okay, so have you said anything lately, I don't know, or you're wondering about this, I feel stuck, or I don't know what to do about it? Go ahead, what would that be?
One of the areas I'm stuck in is what do we want to do with our home? Do we want to sell now and find some other location to live in? So really, like, where do we really want to end up? I just want to end up finally in our last home and not have to think about moving and all that stuff.
Good, that's a nice practical example. Okay, so take a moment, Brenda. And if you were that guru sitting on a cushion and you did know, what would you know about that?
Well, I would know that I would like to stay one in California and possibly Costa Rica.
Okay, so you know, sort of.
Kind of.
But you see, you don't have to know the ultimate thing, you just have to know the next step.
Okay.
You see? So you're biting it off in little pieces, and you're recognizing what your next step of knowingness is.
Uh-huh.
Does that feel better than not knowing?
Yes.
Okay, so I give you a little exercise for when you go home. So every time you get to this dilemma, and you start to say, I don't know, or I wish I knew, zip it.
Okay.
And at that point, you say, what I think I know is, and then proceed from your knowingness rather than your not knowingness.
Got it.
Got it?
Thank you.
Give
Yes.
Brenda a hand. Thank you. Okay, Bonnie? I don't know. Be honest. What do you feel like you don't know?
I don't know how to attract the powerful managers I need for my motorcycle schools.
Wow, that's a good one, isn't it? Say it again.
I don't know how to attract and keep the powerful managers that I need to assist in running my motorcycle schools.
Cool. Okay. So now I'm Bonnie, and I'm coming to you. And I'm saying, how can I possibly attract the powerful managers to run my motorcycle school and keep them? What would you tell me, Guru?
I don't know.
But
I mean, I agonize over this.
yeah, but and there's drama in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's a juicy drama. Don't you love agonizing?
No.
Okay. So if you really,
really
don't, then
don't.
let's stop it now.
I really don't.
So just for a moment, suspend not knowing. Just,
Okay.
Just put it. You can go back to not knowing. That's just fine.
Okay.
But just suspend it for a moment, And if you did know, like if some place deep inside you really knew, what would you know? If you had to take a guess at how this might work, what would you say?
Theoretically, there are people there who want to do this,
Yes?
and my job is to find them.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I don't know how to do.
Okay, but for this exercise, you don't get to say I don't know.
Okay.
So Phil, you got half of it. There are people out there.
Okay. There are people out there
Yeah.
who want to do this work,
That doesn't that feel better than how am I going to find them? Okay.
and
now,
they should be looking for me.
right.
They should be
Right.
seeking me because they know that I have this chain of schools that needs managers.
So do you mean to tell me that the universe actually functions in a sense of balance, and that where you have a need for them, there's somebody out there who has a need for you, and you're both putting out energies and intentions and desires to connect, and somehow the universe might actually have a way of linking you up because your need matches theirs? Is that what you're actually telling me?
I think that's what I'm hearing.
That's damn
That
brilliant.
sounds really good, too.
Can you live with that?
I can really live with that.
Look at her. She's a transformed
feels a
woman.
lot
Right behind
better.
you. Right. She's been healed. Very good. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. So these were just little examples. You see, practicing and acting as if you know really taps you into the place that knows. Because you're not stupid, even though you've been told you are. The people who told you you were stupid felt stupid themselves. You understand? They didn't know what to do with their stupidity, so they projected it onto you. Not that they were really stupid, because everybody's really smart. But people who don't love themselves have a hard time being with other people who love themselves, so they couldn't let you be big. But what we're doing here this weekend, and in your life work now, is you're practicing magnitude. We've practiced smallness for our whole lives, and now we're stepping into our magnitude. Let's all say that. I'm stepping into my magnitude. I'm owning my magnitude. I'm claiming my magnitude. And here's the best one. You're going to love this one. I am my magnitude. Now, doesn't something ripple inside you when you say that? And here's the thing about an affirmation. Harv has a wonderful thing about affirmations and declarations. But here's how an affirmation works when it really works. The spirit within me loves to hear the truth about itself. So when you say, I am magnificent, and I am whole, and my heart is open, and I can attract people from my motorcycle school, something inside you ripples, and you go, yeah, that feels a lot better than poor me. So what we're doing is tapping into the place inside of us that remembers the truth about ourselves. Just for a fun example, there was a man named George Danzig, who was he was a math student at USC many years ago, and he came to class one day, and he came in late, and there were a couple of math problems on the board that he hadn't copied down because he came in late, and the teacher usually puts stuff like that for homework. And so he copied them down, and he did them from homework. He solved the problems, and he came back, and he handed in the next class. And next night, the professor comes knocking on his door. What's up? How did you do this, George? How did I do what? How did you solve these two unsolvable math problems? These are two classically unsolvable problems. He said, oh, I thought they were homework. Nobody told him they were unsolvable. And so what if all the limits you live with are entirely learned? There's no such thing as a natural limit to you. Every limit you experience has been learned from an outer source that contradicts your inner knowing. And what we're doing now is we're moving from outer sourcing to inner sourcing. So there are things in your life that seem unsolvable, but only because you think there are. There are diseases in this world that seem incurable, only because there's a mass agreement that this thing cannot be cured. Because if any disease has ever been cured, it's curable. You see? So I would never accept a prognosis incurable, because there's one factor that no doctor or anybody cannot take into account, and that's your consciousness. That you see, doctors cite statistics of how many people with this disease live this long and what happens to them. But that's just if your consciousness matches theirs. If you hold a higher consciousness, than the people who go sideways with it, you get to have a different result. That's why all this work we're doing here is about developing consciousness. And I love what Harv says in his books about developing a wealth blueprint. We're developing a prosperity blueprint, and prosperity is not just about money. Prosperity is about health, it's about relationships, it's about joy, it's about career, it's about play. So we're making a new blueprint for our lives. Say that together. I'm making a new blueprint for my life. I'm making a new blueprint for my life. Even as we sit here, you know, when you get 4,000 people or so sitting, agreeing, I'm making a new blueprint for my life, boy, does it click. It says that where two are gathered and in agreement, things happen. So what happens when 4,000 are gathered in agreement? How powerful is that? When you say, I'm making a new blueprint for my life, boy, something is shifting. So, let me give you some tips on how to access this guru in you, okay? Because it's one thing to know it's there, it's another thing to get to it. So we're going to go to step one. I'm going to give you 10 steps. And really, the truth is that they're all connected. So if you get some of them and not the others, it's fine. If you just get one good one, you're way ahead of the game, and you will see each one leads to the next. So the first step is to claim inherent brilliance. Claim inherent brilliance. That's just what we did in our exercise. So I would like you to repeat after me. I claim my inherent brilliance. 1, 2, 3. I claim my inherent brilliance. Boy, that just wafts up here, almost bowled over. Because that's a powerful truth. And I want to show you something about your inherent brilliance. We have a cute photo I found here. Now, does anybody recognize a similarity between those two figures? Because when we are little children, now the word Buddha means enlightened. Anybody who's enlightened is a Buddha. So we come in Buddha-like and enlightened. I think my notes just went away. That's what came down with them. We come in knowing. You were born knowing, and you were trained out of knowing. That's why someone said we started out fine, and then we got defined. And now what we're doing this weekend is we're getting refined. You are returning to your original innocence. Forget about original sin. I'm done with that thing. We started out innocent. Now, this original sin, the word sin, is S-I-N, stands for self-inflicted nonsense. I'm writing a new book called Original Grin. Because we came in totally lined up with the universe, and then we were trained away. So we're retraining our minds to come back to who we were before we forgot. All you're doing in your life now is a course in selective remembering. Selective remembering. I live in Maui. Somebody has to do it. And some of you might know that the great humpback whales come there every winter. And what they do is they stay in in Canada and Alaska during the summer, and they come in the winter and migrate, and they mate 1 year, and then they come back 1 year later, and they give birth. And all the whales cluster in this little basin about 12 miles in diameter between the islands of Maui, Lanai, and Molokai. And if you come to Maui during the winter, you will see them spouting and jumping and playing. It's quite delightful. The interesting thing is that it's the same whales that come back and forth every year. Not just whales, but the same whales. They photograph their flukes, and every whale has a unique fluke, like a unique fingerprint. And they tell the same whales are coming back every year. So I wonder, how do they know how to get back and forth between 3,000 miles of deep blue sea to the same 12-mile basin every winter? How smart are they? Do they Google it? Do they go on MapQuest? And as some of you know, there's a whale song. And if you take a whale watch in Maui, they will drop a sonar microphone way down, and you hear this wonderful song. And I actually have a short clip of it. So I'd like you to hear this haunting song, because I'm going to tell you something about it. Now here's the thing about the whale song. You can keep playing it. every year the whale song evolves. So each year it's a new song with the old song partially and variations on the theme. Now here's the cool part of it. Every year, all the humpback whales around the world know the same new song. So the Baja humpbacks and the Maui humpbacks and the Australian humpbacks, somehow they're all tuned into that year's song. How smart are they? Where does wisdom live? Who planted instincts? Is the universe intelligent? Is there a divine plan? I would say yes, 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 because animals are so smart. We just need to own our smarts. Next, number 2. So what do you do once you've claimed your wisdom and you know you're smart and you're willing to admit it? How do you get there? Well, what you have to do, number 2, is you have to pave your own unique avenue to inner wisdom. Now, what does that mean? There are things that you do that connect you to it. Now, some people meditate, some people pray, some people do yoga, some people jog, some people do music, whatever it is, but there are certain things that you do that tap you into your knowing. I like to be in nature. I swim, I hike, I snorkel. And when I do that, I know things that I don't know when I'm sitting at my computer for many hours a day. So the name of the game, I'll tell you all the 2 things you ever need to know. The 10 Commandments can be boiled down to this and expanded on. Number 1, do what brings you life. Do what brings you life. Number 2, quit doing what deadens you. Forget about everything else you've ever heard. If you do what brings you life, you will be wealthy, happy, and wise. If you quit doing what deadens you, you'll get lighter and freer every day. So every time you have an act before you, a decision, a date, somebody invites you for sex, somebody invites you for dinner, whatever it is, you try it on for size and you say, does this enliven me or does this deaden me? If it enlivens you, it's a good thing to do, my friends. If it deadens you, why would you want to do something that would disconnect you from yourself? So let me give you some examples of people who paved their avenue to inner wisdom. Thomas Edison, one of the great inventors of our time. Do you know how he accessed answers to his difficult experiments? He would get stuck in an experiment, and he would lay down on a couch, and he would hold a rock in his hand. And he would say, okay, I want to know what's the next step here. What do I need to do here? What can solve this question? And he would doze off for one of his famous cat naps. Now, as he dozed off, he would relax, his hand would open, the rock would thud to the floor, and he would wake up. But at that point, he had sunk into his subconscious inner knowing, at which point the answer to his experiment lived. And he would wake up and he would know. And he developed, he invented the motion picture, alkaline battery, the incandescent light, the recorder, many, many more. Because he knew how to tap into his inner knowing. And so do you. I tell you, Edison is no greater than you. All he did was practice it. There's nobody that's greater than you. We're each great in our own way. We each just need to tap into our own greatness. Never try to live somebody else's dream because it'll flop on you. Live your own. Harv had a dream for this. Somebody was telling me that Harv was just saying that he had, since 15 years old, is that what you said, Harv? He was visioning this event since he's 15, that's 10 years ago. And now it's a reality because it's his dream. If he tried to do somebody else's dream, it wouldn't work. But he's true to his, here's the definition of integrity. Integrity is when the life that you're living on the outside matches who you are on the inside. That's all integrity is. And when you're not in integrity, you get sick and your money backs up and you get into fights. But when the life that you're living on the outside matches who you are on the inside, that's integrity. And that's how you get a bunch of people to come to an event like this without even knowing who's going to talk to them. That's powerful integrity. I call that lined up with the Tao, lined up with the entire universe. And you're lined up with you. Mozart had his way of getting it. He said, it is when I am completely myself, entirely alone and of good cheer, that ideas flow best and most abundantly. Whence and how they come, I know not, nor can I force them. So all he was saying was that when he gets relaxed and he gets in tune with himself, ideas come. So never try to force an idea. Never try to force a result. Somebody says, if you can't pray a door open, don't try to pry it open. In other words, when you get into that mantra thing, I'm going to make this happen no matter what, you've lost your flow. Get quiet, step back, be at peace, and in that space, magnificent. I'm going to make a confession. I get my best ideas when I'm eating, when I'm sitting on the toilet, and when I'm taking a shower. 3 times of great relief in my life. But there's something about that quiet time that I just get great ideas, and I go to the typewriter and write. So ideas can come at any time, but when you're lined up with yourself and you're relaxed, they come more fluently. The pipeline is open. It's like, this is a great wealth metaphor. You have a 10,000-gallon water tank from which you water your garden through a hose, and you go out one day, and a few little droplets come out, and you go, what happened to my water? There's not enough water. Somebody stole my water. My neighbor's doing it to me again. The universe is not supplying. And then you look down, and you're standing on the hose. So, bottom line of all prosperity work is to get off your own hose. Nobody's crimping your hose but you. Only you have the power to crimp it.